What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out this segment of the main show. Be sure to check out the full EXFIL podcast at youtube.com/xpmedia now. So actually, one other thing that I've been thinking about is, wouldn't it be cool to have a way to share gun presets? Because when we get into wanting to share guns with our friends, you got to take a screenshot, or you got to write down a long list of stuff, or all kinds of different things, and it just is really kind of clunky and inconvenient for sharing. But imagine this. Imagine sending like a mail to an in-game friend with a gun preset. And all they do is click on it, and then it opens in their preset editor. I think that that's something they could do probably relatively easily, because it's basically a gun preset is nothing more than a buying filter on the flea market. And if you could send that back and forth, that would be awesome. Stuff like that is related to guns, because of how complicated the guns are to make to get the desired kind of effects, and especially for doing like gunsmith tasks and things like that. There are ways that you could possibly send that information between friends, and I think that would be a huge, huge plus.
Yeah, and like that, I've never even thought about that. I'm thinking to like Hearthstone, okay? And I know we're looking at different games right now and picking and plucking everything we love. But I look at a game like Hearthstone. I don't play that a ton. It's mostly a mobile game for me, but every now and then I'll get a wild hair for a week or two and dig in. Well, I'm not going to dig into the point where I go build a deck of Hearthstone cards and like refine it over and over and over to try to figure out the best way to do it. I'm more of a collector in that game, and I like to jump in and out. So for me, I like to go to an external website, download a deck, see what cards I'm missing, decide to craft them, decide to not, replace a couple, and then you can literally copy paste a formula from an external website. And then if you click back into Hearthstone, it says, hey, do you want to build the deck from your copy and paste? You hit yes, and it literally builds the deck for you. And this is kind of the same thing with the gun builds, that I don't think everybody wants or has the time to figure out gun builds. And it would be so cool if someone was like, hey, brand new to the game, what's a good gun that I can use in the beginning? And imagine if you just had a community, like a podcast community that likes to help people. and they had a list of guns for different spots in the games, or meme guns, or whatever you wanted. Like, now I changed my mind. This is what I want now. I want what you just talked about. I want the ability to share gun builds. I'm all in.
I think it'd be pretty interesting. I think you could really create some cool stuff, because there's definitely some fun meme guns, like the 4 flashlight shotgun, that kind of stuff that you can create. But just getting through basics, like I'm level 1, what do I do? Here's our set of 3 guns that you can afford at level 1 and that you can reliably get. Stuff like that, I think, if they haven't already thought about that, we should be spamming their Twitter asking for things like that, because that's not very selfish. That helps everybody, So the other thing I was thinking about is, it would be interesting if they had an in-game chat system that created like a clan or a guild or something like that. So you log in and you can see like, okay, I've got my friends list, but you could log in and see kind of like a mini in-game friends list that was a little bit more robust than a friends list. Doesn't need to be a full-on chat system, because let's be honest, most people use Discord, which, by the way, you can join the EXFIL Discord. The link will be in the description for the podcast. Highly suggest you do that. And so I think an in-game like way to recognize that you're part of a group, a clan, or a guild, or whatever you want to call it, I think that'd be kind of cool. I think there's ways to do that. People already do something like that now with the armbands. You can buy the same color armband and then go into a raid with 4 or 5 people and all be wearing the same armband, so you can see and not kill each other. That's a way to go about that. Or if you're JMac, you can just shoot me on the staircase, irregardless of any of that. But I digress. So I think that having an in-game system, would be good for that way, for the social aspect.
I don't know. I'm on the other side of the coin on that one. And it mostly comes from this not being a game where, you're grouping up with 15, 20 people, like you're grouping up with 3 or 4. And I guess there's games out there that do have clan stuff like this, like Diablo has that kind of thing. But where in Tarkov, you can change your name so frequently, like once a week, I could think you can change your in-game name. it depends how they would do this, right? If it's like an extort tag that you can't have unless you're in a clan, I don't know. I mean, I always like these kinds of things, and I'll be real honest, like, the only one I've ever been is in a World of Warcraft guild, but in Counter-Strike or, Call of Duty or Diablo, I've never really had an interest in that kind of thing, because it really creates these pockets where it's like you end up just talking to this one little group of people versus having a bigger one to talk to. But now I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if we had an EXFIL one. That'd be kind of cool. Who's on from the EXFIL? That'd be kind of sweet, actually. So I don't know. Again, that's a cool idea, but I don't know. I don't know if it fits or not.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either. I just find myself at times wanting a little bit more in-game information if my friends are playing or not. I mean, I'm thinking about this kind of as we're talking, and yes, Discord is a thing, obviously, but Discord, you can be invisible, right? And so sometimes you're not always on Discord if you don't want to be, and maybe you don't want to be found, that kind of thing, but maybe you just forget to not put yourself online or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking it could be a way, because there's probably a lot of Tarkov players too that are not associated with a Discord, right? I mean,
right.
Even if you think about it, Discord is very huge, but it's also not, not everyone by far is not using Discord.
Well, it's invite only, right? You can't just join a Discord unless it's somewhere out there publicly. So, yeah, it's not an open platform, really.
Right, exactly. And so I think that having an in-game social system may help that. I mean, I'm kind of back and forth on this one. I agree with you. I understand your point, and I can see that and kind of agree as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leaning, though, towards it being maybe something to consider, because they're even developing this game with the idea that you need to rely on third-party resources, you need to rely on other players, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that the barrier by having clans or things like that is currently there's no barrier to entry to go find content or to go look up a YouTube video or to play with other people necessarily. As soon as you add clans and stuff like that, you end up with applications and you end up with squads forming and teams. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if that belongs in this game or not. It's a super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the worst of all of us gamers comes out as soon as there's a hierarchy system like this put into place.
Right.
And they have to consider all these points, right, that we make about these kind of wish list items. They have to consider all this when you design a game, and that's why designing a game is not simple.